New Gen Gamers.
And it's a lot of the publications that I've read from, they weren't sure if it played the SG-1000 games, so I can't state whether they did or not.
Yeah, considering they never came out in America, we're not really sure, so maybe some European out there happens to know.
Ken, I know you're listening, and we respect you and we love you. Let us know. You get a hold of one of those if you can.
Or if your name happens to be Ken.
Hey, we love all Kens. But one of the interesting things about the Dyna is the controllers, because they were modeled after Nintendo Entertainment System's D-pads. And with a small numeric pad, the Coleco, much like the Intellivision, has a numeric pad that it uses for some of the games, for different reasons. But on the Dyna, it was a small pad that was embedded into the remote. But the remote looks, or the controller, I guess I should say, looks exactly like a Nintendo controller does.
So Bit Corporation did their homework, at least. We'll definitely give them credit for that. They took the best of the era and packaged it into one system.
But there were some downfalls for this. If your Coleco game required 2 numeric pads to play it, you couldn't play that game on the Dyna. And, the other things was the rollerball controller and the Super Action controller, which we'll get into. Any games that required those were also not compatible because this limited controller, but still at the same time you're getting double the bang for your buck, so that's not a bad deal
if you lived somewhere where you could have cartridges for both. Not, of course, we take everything from the American side of gaming. Yeah. So I don't think Ray's gonna have much more luck at this, so why don't we move on to the next game, because we can go into these expansion modules and the awesome roller controller, because we're going to break it out now and do some rolling.
Absolutely, and we'll continue to talk a little bit more about the Dyna and the Telegram's personal arcade that came out. Coleco presents Slither by Century 2, an '83 release. So I want to continue talking really quick about the Dyna and the Telegame's personal arcade. As I left off, I was talking about how it was not compatible with a couple of the titles that came out, and the reason why was, it didn't have the ability to use some of the peripherals that were needed for these games. And as we play this game, we'll talk a little bit about the peripheral that we're using right now. And in '88, Telegame's personal arcade came out. It was the US version of the Dyna 2-in-1, and it had the pack-in meteor shower with it. It was sold mainly by mail order, as we also saw with the Intellivision continuation. We saw mail order, and it was $40 for US dollars to get this. So that's not a bad deal. You can play your classic Coleco games on a little bit of a revamped system, basically doing the same thing. The only problem with the Telegame's personal arcade was it had a defect. The problem was that if the system was on too long, the motherboard would heat up, and that would cause all kinds of problems. It's like the classic, those who remember, if Nintendo was on for too long, that power brick would heat up and heat up until you could fry egg on it. Well, imagine that happening to your actual system, and imagine the damage that would happen. That's one of the things that we see happen over and over again, but, hardware is only meant to last so long. It's in the moment type thing. And as we mentioned, we're lucky to be playing these games on a 20-plus-year-old system and having almost perfect results. So, Ray, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're playing on, and I'll get a little bit more into the expansion models?
I am playing right now on the ColecoVision roller controller. This thing is awesome. It has really good mechanics. It picks up your movements extremely well. Everything's fluid. And it really does bring that arcade experience home. And that was the Coleco's main tagline.
What is with that dragon? Or what?
I don't know.
That's with wings? What?
That's a wicked-looking Godzilla thing.
So obviously this game that we're playing right now, Slither, which was a pack-in that came with the rollerball. Obviously it's a Centipede clone, but a lot more is going on here on the screen at the time, and it looks like it's quite fun, is it?
Oh yeah, this game's a blast. So many things coming at you.
Like I said, the Godzilla dragon, the pterodactyls. I don't know.
Snakes going everywhere.
You know, we got snakes, we got prehistoric animals, we've got rocks, and we got.
What's that? A donkey unicorn or something?
You know, I don't know what that little thing we're shooting with is, but.
It's a
ladybug.
Galaxian.
It's a that works for me. So let's talk a little bit about these expansion models now that we're actually using one. The first expansion model, known as Expansion Model 1, was Coleco basically made an Atari 2600. Sorry, it made all those games compatible with your Coleco.
Yeah, the infamous expansion module that Coleco touted to basically get. Yeah, they wanted. They're like, yeah, you can play their games and our games.
We're luring people in. We're gaining the love of the people. That's what we need. We want them to own this Coleco. Expand your library. Use all your 2600 games. Throw that Atari 2600 away. You've got the Coleco. You've got the expansion model. What else do you need?
Oh, yeah, side note on that. This was the same time the Atari 5200 was out.
Yes.
Which couldn't play the Atari 2600 games.
Yeah, oh, what can you do with that, you know? Bad move, Atari, bad move. Slap him on the wrist.
So that was another thing that really kind of put Coleco up above what Atari was doing at the time. No!
So as we were talking about the expansion pack, though, eventually Atari did sue over this ordeal, which I can't blame them, but, well, I believe it was... Coleco had to pay them royalties at that point. So, but we do see Coleco does go back and kind of screw over Atari pretty good in the long run. But I want to get more or less to the expansion pack 2, which was the driving controller, a steering wheel and gas pedals, and the packing game Turbo. And it was also compatible with a couple other games that eventually came out, you know. We've seen over the generations, a lot of times companies, usually third party will release different, you know, wheel peripherals, you know, and they basically just make, that's to put you into the illusion, put you into the driver's seat and really give you that experience. Also, the expansion pack 3. Now this, I'll get into more in another game, but the expansion pack 3 became Coleco's attempt to make a home computer, and really where they really fall, and we see, along with the
where everything just kind of falls apart for
That's
him.
right. The demise of the video game industry at that time.
The crash.
The crash. The infamous crash. We'll talk about that and how the Atom really destroyed Coleco in a lot of ways. But every company that did this was also destroyed by this endeavor of trying to make a home computer.
Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned enough about how good the control is on this game. I love this roller controller. It just feels like I actually have an arcade board sitting in my lap.
And once again, this goes back to Coleco bringing home the arcade. You know, this is what people wanted, and this is what they really, you know, instead of going and spending your quarters at the arcade, you just sit at home and enjoy those same experiences. You know, I never got to experience that when I was a kid. You know, we had arcades, but I never got to experience that boom of the arcade era. But it's really fun to sit here and, you know, many years later and relive this in a small sense, on a small scale. So thank you, Rollerball, for being here, Roller Controller. And
oh yeah, and another plus is you can actually plug in your controllers into it and not have to unplug the module at all.
And it does give you a lot further that you can be away from the Coleco.
Yeah,
Ray's sitting comfortably on the couch here at New Gen Gamers headquarters playing this, you know, really enjoying himself. He's intently into this game, killing snakes. You know, this desert's overrun by these little suckers. They need to be.
I love a good arcade game.
Are those snakes or tremors? Remember that movie
Tremors?
Those might be tremors. They should have done that.
Introducing the ColecoVision Roller Controller. With it, your vision expands. Now, speed all over the screen, fire up or down. It comes with Slither as a bonus. But the excitement doesn't stop there. It makes arcade games like Pepper even peppier. Spaceships travel at the speed of light, and apes go ape. Expand your vision with the Roller Controller. Because your vision is our vision. ColecoVision.
ColecoVision.com